What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Happier, Healthier Arkansas podcast hosted by the Specific Chiropractic Centers. I'm Dr. Cam.
And I'm Dr. Chris, and we just want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. If you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button, and thank you for joining us on our mission towards making Arkansas the happiest and healthiest state on the planet.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Happier, Healthier Arkansas. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Cameron Daniels. Today, we have an absolutely tremendous guest with me, a great friend of mine. Her name's Michelle Dabney. She owns Chime with Michelle, and she's a health and lifestyle coach that we have specifically for you today. You're going to want to listen to this whole thing because we've had many conversations before, and there's a ton of little nuggets that we're going to have in here to keep you happier and healthier. So, Michelle, thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Being here today.
Yeah.
I always ask the first question before we even go into the interview is, how do you make Arkansas happier and healthier?
Oh gosh, my favorite way to do that is to start with the habit of self-compassion.
Okay.
With all my clients. It's always about what went well and how can we show up for ourselves in a way that's coming from a place of wanting to care for ourselves instead of wanting to punish something out of ourselves.
Right. And especially when it comes to, punishing ourselves. We talked about this before, but I've had a weight loss journey. I'm still on a weight loss journey and stuff like that, where it's like we can tend to beat ourselves up because we're so focused on a number or a goal rather than focusing on the habits. And I know that's one thing that you focus on specifically is the healthy habits.
Absolutely, because as a human, a really cool side effect of being human is that we're kind of ambitious, right?
Yeah.
And so we set these goals and we start going to these goals, and then it gets exciting, but then before you even get to that goal, you see how close you are, so you push it out. So you make it an even bigger goal, but because you've grown your capacity. So before you only saw that you could get here.
Yep.
Well, when you get halfway there, you're like, oh man, I could do so much more. So you throw it out there, and it's because you've grown that capacity. You forget to give gratitude for the capacity growth.
Yep.
And so then we have this goal way out here, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so far away. I've got so far to go. And so here we are beating ourselves up for pushing a goal out because we got so close to it.
Yeah.
So we forget to stop and build in the incredible moment of, well, now I can do more because I've done so much. I've done so much for myself.
Yes. And when it comes to the clients that you work with, what are some of the most successful things that you've seen? I know that you have a variety of different services that you like to tailor to. Whether, because we also talk about yoga as well.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you absolutely love to see? Like, what are some of your best cases?
Okay, so a lot of people come to me for weight loss. They want to lose weight. They want to fit in cuter clothes, better clothes. And what people don't realize is it's typically not about the food or the fitness. And that's where they want to start, right? How much less can they eat? How much more can they move?
Yeah.
And obviously that's important. But my favorite thing to do with clients is figure out what really is the issue. So we look at their habits around sleep, their habits around stress, their habits around boundaries and interpersonal relationships, especially within the household.
Yeah.
So we look at habits around so many things, but we also look at different areas of their life too. Is there a work-life balance? Are they putting enough time in their social life or their hobbies? Are they enriching their lives? So a lot of times it can come from a totally different place, and they don't realize that they're not able to get to their health goals. They're not able to lose weight because they have really poor boundaries with their kids or with their spouses.
Yep.
And so if I can, those are my favorite stories when I help someone create really healthy boundaries with someone in the household, like let's say their husband.
Yep.
And it's not like telling their husband no, it's not taking care of their husband. It's just about, instead of jumping when there's an issue with someone else, you get to evaluate it with how it fits for you.
Yeah.
So it's not about saying no to your husband. It's about saying, I'll get to it after I get my walk in, or I'll get to it after I get my breakfast in that I need to eat in order to sustain my life today. And sometimes it's not that straightforward, but those are my favorite. When I work on boundaries with somebody and they lose 30 pounds because now they're taking care of themselves, and then they have more to give to the people that love them, need them, that kind of thing.
That's what started me is, especially like when I first started practice, I still worked out throughout the process and everything of that nature, but I gained a lot of weight when I first started practice. And the reason why is because, I was so focused on taking care of patients, growing the clinic and, managing cases and stuff like that. And then I realized, and it hit me, I was like, I'm actually my best patient.
Yeah.
Because if I don't take care of myself, then I can't take care of other people.
Right.
And one thing that's really helped me is establishing those boundaries, right, within myself,
Right.
within my marriage, even within my kids,
Right.
right, to kind of help. There's things that I've done to help establish those. So what are some things that you would recommend to people that are trying to establish healthy boundaries in their life to help them achieve their goals when it comes to their health and lifestyle?
So a lot of times the reason why we have poor boundaries is because we're taught that sacrifice is better than anything else. Like sacrificing is so virtuous, right?
Yeah.
So to say no to someone is being selfish. That's what we're taught. That's what growing up, that's how it is. So the first thing that I have to coach out of somebody is, or shift, it's a mind shift, right? It's a whole reframing of, you're not being, like, selfish isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just taking care of self first. And so taking care of self first isn't you sacrificing, helping everybody. So our morals and our values, we say it is important to take care of somebody else.
Right. And
so when we go against that value, it doesn't feel good. And so that feels like selfishness, that feels like a bad thing. So we need to reframe it to, it's not a selfish act. You fill up your cup and then you get to help tremendously more. But you have to realize that you have a habit of saying yes. And so when you say yes to somebody, you're saying no to something. And usually it's yourself. Usually it's something that you're running out of you hit the ground running every morning, you forget your breakfast.
Yep.
You know, how many times do busy moms get in the car with a bunch of kids that they've fed, they've watered, they've clothed, they've got them in the back seat, and they get in the driver's seat and they're like, dang it, I forgot to eat.
Yeah.
But here we are, we're taking off anyway. And so what you have to remember is that same gut punch, that same gut punch when you do something out of the norm, like out of your habits, is the same gut punch that happens when we feel like we did something morally wrong. So if the habit is saying yes to people and all of a sudden you go to no, it feels like you're doing something wrong.
Right.
But
I think all of us know that feeling.
Yeah,
for sure.
But really that's just not the habit you've been keeping. The habit you've been keeping is giving and giving and giving before even considering yourself. So saying no doesn't mean you're saying no forever or no, I'm not going to help you. It's saying no, stopping, pausing, taking care of yourself, and then you can extend that help. So you have to remember, you've got to first build the habit of saying yes to yourself, and you're going to feel that little ick when you first start. So get over the ick, push through it, and take care of yourself first.
My, one thing that's really helped me, my health coach, he's actually in Florida. His name's JT Tappius. He helped really coach me through this thing of having visual cues, right? There's a book, Atomic Habits. I talked to someone else about this not too long ago. But Atomic Habits, essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to start small and it gets big. So when we start looking at, so in the beginning it was like, hey, just put your shoes in your path in the morning.
Right.
Whatever, because we all have a morning routine, for most of us. And so we walk on the same path. And so just put your running shoes before you go to bed right in the middle of that path.
Right.
So that way it's just a visual cue of, oh, my running shoes are in the way. So you don't have to pick them up or they're just going to sit in the middle of the floor, right? So you have to pick them up and move them out the way. Because if you don't, well, then you're just going to, then you're just going to leave it there. But it's a visual cue of like, okay, I'm probably going to go for a run today, right? Or I'm probably going to go for, in my case, was working out, lifting, walking.
Yeah.
So those boundaries have been critical in being able to establish and set dates with ourselves, right? I'm going to go for a 45-minute slow burn cardio today, right? Or an hour, or I'm going to go to the gym today, or I'm going to, I've even broken down on a more micro scale of, I'm going to have a lunch date with myself today, eating a salad.
Great.
Because that helps perpetuate and takes it the next level.
You hold space for yourself.
Exactly.
To show up, yeah.
You've the biggest takeaway from what you just said was, you said, what'd you say? When you say yes to something,
you're saying no to something, and usually it's you. So especially that hit the ground, like the example I gave with that woman that lost 30 pounds because I helped her with her boundaries with her husband and her daughter.
Yes.
It was something as simple as if he calls before 9, you let it go to voicemail, not because you're ignoring your husband. You set that, of course you have that conversation, right?
Right.
Like, I'm going to go for a walk. What she wanted to do was go for a walk every morning. It wasn't something that she dreaded to do. She knew that she wanted to eat something, go for that walk, and she absolutely loved that moment. But what was happening is, before she could get out the door, he had some thing that she had to take care of. And so those things can wait 30 minutes, 45 minutes, but you get caught up in other people's emotion when you enter the phone. And so that's where boundaries really help. And so she was able to, you know, listen to the voicemail before she went on the walk, listen to the voicemail, consider, is this a now thing? Is this like really an emergency? Or is this something that can wait 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
Right.
And typically it's something that can wait. She can shoot that text message, say, I'll get to it.
Yep.
She satisfies his need to have that taken care of. She satisfies her need to know that he knows that she's going to take care of it. And then she gets to go enjoy her walk, and she gets to kill it at that. And then that's how she got to start her day, as opposing that, where she would just hop to it, do his bidding, and it just, that she didn't get that movement she needed that was so important in the beginning of the day.
It's the momentum in creation of actually understanding and establishing those boundaries between the individual. What are some things that you would recommend for? So do you take care of primarily women? Would you say?
No, it's men, women, all ages.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say then from that perspective of? So for example, let's say my wife is getting ready to go on a journey, right? My wife's getting ready to go on a journey. I'm obviously going to have to support her through that. What are some things that you would recommend the person that's trying to support?
Well, obviously, working with couples is fun.
Right,
because,
I bet.
Because it's so easy for us in a relationship to enable each other.
Yep.
I know a lot of couples, the most fun that they have together is doing nothing, right? You just want to hang out together, like, I don't know, goo-goo eyes at each other, whatever it is. Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you have to know that each partner has a voice to give that situation. You know, like, let's say she wants to, okay, look, I know we love pizza in the evenings. I know that's one of our favorite things because we don't have to worry about anything else. We just order it. It comes, we get the veg out on the couch and we sit. But if she says, look, how about we skip pizza this week? And so she's saying this in a moment where she feels very strong. Right now, she has the discipline that she feels that moment of like, I know that I don't want pizza in my journey this week.
Right.
It doesn't mean pizza's bad. It just means this is what she decided for herself this week. I don't want pizza this week. And so you hear that and you're like, okay, sure, great. Because you're both in a moment of this like keen awareness, right? And then later that week, she starts to dwindle, right? Our willpowers can be finite, especially if we're in a restriction. Let's say we are trying to lose weight, we're in a restriction.
Right.
That moment comes and you're like, oh man, I really want pizza. So if she says, hey, how about pizza tonight? And you're like, oh, she said this earlier this week. You get to remind her, not in a shaming way, you know, use your language well here. In a, hey, earlier this week you said that you didn't want to do that. What do you think about that? Do you want to push through? You know, you give her the option. You'll never take someone's option away, right?
Right.
And you could, depending on how you're feeling too, say, you know what, we're doing really well this week. Let's keep it going. And then you can step up and
kind of break that.
Yeah, you can step up. It's really just showing her the mirror of her goals, right? It's what I do as a health coach all the time. It's like, well, but you said you wanted to do this, so now, like, let's consider what's going on here. It's not about saying, no, you can't go in a new direction.
Yeah.
It's just saying, but don't forget that this is what you said when you're really clear. You had a really clear space. So it's about you considering her words and following that up without shame. That's a really big one when it comes to couples. And then know that if she takes that extra action of like, okay, you're right, let's do something different tonight, then don't be the one later to say, actually, you know what, pizza does sound good. So
why would you say, why would someone fail at the process in terms of just in general with their health journey?
Oh gosh.
Obviously, first and foremost, I don't mean to cut you off,
no,
but first and foremost is because they don't have guidance.
Yeah.
That's where you come into play.
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
But like, someone that tries to, you know, whether it's with a health coach or without a health coach, like whatever it is, what are some of the key indicators of someone or characteristics of someone who's not gonna make it?
So the characteristics of someone that's not going to make it is not working on mindset as well as their habits. So we will perpetuate our belief system. if we believe that we are overweight and we're always going to be that way because maybe your parents were and your whole family, genetics, and that's just what the aging process does for us, if that's the belief you hold, as you age, you're only going to add more weight.
Yeah. Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly.
Yep.
But this is how it happens. Our belief system then triggers emotions and thoughts and feelings and all these things. And so we create the story around it. Well, everybody in my family had diabetes once they hit a certain age, that kind of thing. So you got this in your belief system that's just going to happen. So then you get in your mind, well, maybe if I change my habits, I can, not be as bad as them. And so you go into fix-it mode, right? So here you are, you're drinking water, you're getting rest, you're getting movement, you're eating nutritious foods. And so you really feel like, you're doing all the right things, and you can kill it for about 2 to 6 weeks. Okay,
you're saying with just habits.
Yeah, with just habits, you can really do some really good damage, But if the belief system didn't change, your body and brain can't stay in cognitive dissonance. That just means how you're acting is not how you believe.
Yeah,
and so
the separation.
That's when self-sabotage happens. That's it. When the belief system doesn't line up with the action. So you're acting as if you're a healthy person that's going to be young for a really long time.
Right.
But you don't believe that you can stay young and healthy.
Yep.
And so your behaviors are going to be sabotaged. You're going to end up going back to your old habits, and that's going to perpetuate your belief system. But that's why it's important when I work with clients, it's always from both sides. We're always working on habits, but we're always working on that mindset. That's why in the beginning I said one of the biggest things we work on is that self-compassion piece. Because what comes with self-compassion, curiosity comes with that.
Yep.
Curiosity comes with awareness. Awareness shifts your belief system. So we work on that piece and the doing piece. So as I hold you accountable to your actions, your mind is shifting. So by the time your belief systems start changing, your momentum is just crazy. It just goes crazy because we've already worked on habits. We know the practical things that fit in your chaotic, crazy life.
Yep.
As a mother, a husband, or whoever, maybe a caregiver to an older parent, like all the craziness that could happen in your life. We're working on all the doing within that context.
Yeah.
It's not a separate. It's not a separate piece. I didn't give you a diet plan and a workout schedule to like have auxiliary. No, we're working it into what your life looks like. And so when that belief system lines up, it becomes so much more natural. They're not things that you're doing. They're not decisions you have to make every day. It's just what you do. It's the new baseline. It's your new lazy.
People do it. I shouldn't say all the time, because typically we work through that with care under me as well. But when people, because there are people that I was just talking to Chris about it, Dr. Chris. We're having a conversation of, there are some patients that genuinely believe they're going to have to suffer from their condition the rest of their life.
Yes, absolutely.
And they literally, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, I've had migraines for 20 years. I've always had migraines. How the heck, I'm expecting the migraines I'm expecting this to help with the migraines, but I'm not expecting them to just go away.
Right.
And like that is that can be some mental interference between results, because it's a biology of belief.
Right.
Right. Where it's hardwired into our DNA. For people, especially, I can empathize with people because if they've been suffering from a condition for 30 years, fibro for 30 years, that's kind of hard to see what life looks like without it.
Right.
But we can reframe ourselves and say, like, you know what? I am not fibromyalgia. I am not migraines.
Right.
I am not XYZ. I am Cameron Daniels, and I want to be migraine free or fibro free, and like we can work towards that.
Right.
The biology of belief, that's a huge concept, because if you don't believe it and your actions don't reflect it.
Well, and you have to know too, your brain and body, they know when you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
So if you think you're unhealthy and old, and you say, and you add affirmations, this is why affirmations are really important. You add affirmations that say, I am young, I am healthy, but you don't believe it, it's not going to do any good. But if you open up a baby step into, I can learn to be healthy, or
I'm learning
to be healthy, then that's something like your body and brain can get behind.
Yep, I'm actively learning to be
healthy.
healthier.
Right, you're actively learning. Like, I trust that I can take the steps to learn. that kind of thing. So you can take it to a place you really do believe, and then guess what? You get to stair step that all the way to, well, I am a healthy person, or, you know, like, I am Cameron, and what does that mean? You know, like, and you get to build that for yourself because you've just proven one thing. Maybe there's more out there for you.
So when it comes to affirmations, it sounds like, because obviously the big thing of affirmations is, I am XYZ, right? And then you say this term. But it sounds like you're big into like active affirmation, where it's like, you know, I am actively working to be healthy. I'm actively, you know, and then essentially you're changing that belief, and then as that belief continues to grow, like, I am a healthy person, right? But it starts with the steps.
It's that pattern interrupt, right? Instead of, you know, we go straight to that negative thought process, like, what am I even thinking of even trying this time? Every other time it's failed. I've started a program and I've failed every single time, so what am I even doing here?
Yep.
And so you can pattern interrupt, right? Stop. But what if it works this time? You know, maybe this is the answer. And so you leave that little doorway open, and then you can take a peek inside. Yeah.
And it's the motivation behind that as well, to think, for some reason I'm thinking back to Sean Dill. He's one of my mentors. He talks about like the Rosa Parks story, right? Where it's like, how many times did she get on a bus? And, you know, how many times did she get in the bus and nothing changed? And it was one day where she was like, not today.
Right.
I'm going to pattern interrupt everything.
Right.
I'm going to continue to sit in my seat. And I'm not going to the back. Not today. All the other days I did it, but for some reason there was that shift of like, not today.
How long has she been working on that belief system? Wait, I am worthy of being on the front of the bus. Did it start that way? No, probably not, because culture and conditioning and all that. And so how long did it take her to shift into that, wait, hold on. I'm not going to buy into that. You know, forget that.
That is huge. And so essentially what we have to do is a big pattern interrupt for starting our journey, whether it be, you know, their health journey or whether it be their, you know, their symptom journey of getting them overall, you know, better through neurological based chiropractic care. There has to be a moment. It's the same moment where people are like, you know what? Not today. They contact you.
Right.
We see it all the time happen on our emails, right? Where people will submit a website form. You know what? I've suffered from migraines for 25 years. Not today.
Right.
I'm submitting a. But the thing is, when we have that moment, then not only are we empowered in that moment, but we have to also continue the story from that moment.
Exactly. Like I said, 2 to 6 weeks, we can really power through a lot. But we're always going to have those moments of, this is hard. The journey just got really hard. And I have to keep showing up for myself. Oh my gosh, it's relentless. So every single day you're showing up, you're getting exhausted. So you're going to have a moment that you're like, forget it all. This is too much work. But that's where having a caregiver, you know, in doctor form or coach form that says, hold on, this is what you want for yourself, and I know that you are getting tired, but I am going to hold you accountable until you come back up for air.
Right.
And so it's, you know, it's not about pushing through the lack of energy. It's about using what energy is here and keeping you a little bit more steadfast.
That was incredible. When you brought that up, I just, for some reason, I just got reminded of that story where it's just like, you know, not today. Obviously, you know, you're helping empower Arkansas through various ways. I mean, you've been doing this for a while. And, you know, we talked about the story where you left your job and found your true passion and stuff like that. What are some ways that people, you know, that are listening, what are some active things that you could give them that they could start doing today to help set them up for success tomorrow? In terms of habits or mindset shifts, whatever you would recommend.
I think the biggest thing for your body is your body's communicating things with you all the time. Are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you full? So the biggest thing that you can do is start to tune in. We ignore everything about the body. We even ignore when our bladder is full, and that comes with some very embarrassing consequences. So if we're not even listening to the bladder, then what else are we not listening to? And so start tuning in. Is your body asking for rest? Is it asking for food? Is it asking for you to stop eating? Is it asking for movement? So the very first thing when it comes to your body is start listening, because we have completely neglected the body. It does not trust us with those messages anymore. Our endocrine system is doing so much work because it's having to compensate for our lifestyle choices. And so one of the biggest things to keep it simple is eat when you're hungry, stop eating when you're full, rest when you're stop daying when you're tired, and move when you feel like you've got energy.
And so really taking some time aside, sit down, maybe even setting like a reminder on your phone that just pops up and says, how are you feeling right now?
Get curious with your body. And sometimes it does take reminders on the phone to do that, because we don't always check in below the neck. Like, what do you need right now? We don't realize that when we're feeling overwhelmed and we're getting anxious, it's because we're just hungry.
There's a story of there's a college professor, I forgot which one. Story of a college professor talking to a student, and he asked the young student in front, he said, hey Johnny, how long have you been living? And he was like, 20 years. He's like, that wasn't my question. He said, how long have you been living? Right? And it's the same thing here, where it's like we have to be able to be in tune, because if we're just going day by day, we're not actually staying in tune with what it is and who it is that we are. What are some ways that people that are listening could, if they want to learn more information about you, be able to, connect with you? What are some ways that they could do it? And we talked about, this is not only in the state of, obviously you're here, but you help people all around the country.
All my services are deliverable virtually, whether they're phone calls or Zoom calls. I can connect with pretty much anyone. My website is chimewithmichelle.com. That's an easy way to find me. It's got the number that you can call or text to set up an appointment. You can even book through the site. There's Instagram messaging that you can find me on Instagram. I'm on, we're on all the platforms. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things.
Carrier pigeon.
Right. And they have messaging systems. Shoot me a message. We'll set up a conversation. And that first conversation is free. And so with that conversation, I like to talk about people's health goals, talk about what's holding them back, what's worked in the past, what's not working in their life right now. Really, and I've got questions designed to uncover that, so you don't have to come with a lot of homework. But even if we decide that we're not a fit to work together, they're going to leave with recommendations. I'm going to be able to see a few things that they can start with to start them in the right trajectory. Not just to get to their goals, though, to have a sustained goal. So I don't work under crash diets or anything like that. So my plan is always about how sustainable is that goal that you want. Not how sustainable is it, but how can we get there to have it be sustained.
And have it carry on for a lifetime.
Right, exactly.
So it sounds like, obviously, website, chimewithmichelle.com, that's the big one. You can submit an appointment through there. And if it's one thing I know about you, and this is for everyone that's listening, if it's one thing I know about you, you will talk to anyone.
Oh, yeah.
And so for those that are listening, I would highly recommend going, at least just having a conversation, because you have a ton of information that obviously we can't even uncover within a 30-minute segment. Just means we'll have to do another one.
Right.
Another one.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming out today. We had an
you.
awesome conversation, and look forward to, obviously continuing to connect with everyone that's listening. But thank you so much for, making Arkansas happier and healthier.
Thank you.
You're a blessing to me, blessing to Arkansas, and a blessing to those that you work with.
Thank you.
And thanks for making it happier and healthier.
We hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Happier, Healthier Arkansas. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your guys' support. Please click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Thank you for joining us.
And if you're on a mission to help make Arkansas happier, healthier with us, again, please feel free to share this with anyone that you know, so that way we can continue to help perpetuate the mission of making Arkansas the happiest, healthiest state on the entire planet.
Until next time,
See ya!